There he is.
Greetings all.
All right, you're good to go.
Okay, Mr. Beard, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Ms. Sindar, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Trebs,
Yes.
I think Mr. Shipley has his mic turned off.
Oh, I said yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
I think Jerry had his ears turned off.
I'm on.
Mr. Miller, if you want to
Yes.
read the swearing in of witnesses.
Yes, I will. Anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State, I do. And then when it's your turn to offer testimony, please state your full name, address, and affirm that you've been sworn in. Also, anyone who intends to offer comments or testimony through the online chat room function also needs to be sworn in remotely. Before you initial comment, please type your name, address, and words, I affirm, to indicate that you have solemnly sworn that the testimony you're offering is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I don't see anyone in chat. Just an FYI.
Thank you.
All right, we'll start with the first case on the agenda. It's going to be conditional use case CU-21-01. The applicant and owner is Reed Properties LLC. The site is 7844 Green Meadows Drive with a parcel ID number of 318-312-03003-554. It's zone planned commercial and office district. The request is seeking a conditional use from the Orange Township Zoning Resolution Article 22 to allow for the construction of a monument sign in an area zone planned commercial and office district. The subject property is located on the west side of Green Meadows Drive and on the south side of Orange Road. The site is owned by Reed Properties LLC, and they're seeking construction of a monument sign. The surrounding areas to the north is planned industrial district, commercial buildings. To the south is multifamily planned residential district.
Call from
I hate-
B218-181-6060-53518.
Oh, my goodness. My apologies.
Jerry, I'm going to put you on mute while that's going on.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
To the east is planned commercial office district. It's Goldfish Swim School. To the west, it's also zoned planned commercial office district. It's vacant property right now. I provided a zoomed out aerial of the site, and also a zoomed in aerial of the site. The staff review under 3A, the sign is a monument style freestanding sign. The applicant is proposing a monument style freestanding sign shown in Exhibit 1 below. The maximum height of such sign does not exceed 8 feet above average grade of the site, and the sign is located at a distance from from any street right-of-way line as required. According to Exhibit 1, the proposed sign will be 7 feet above grade. The sign is proposed to be set back 22 feet from the street right-of-way of Orange Road. According to Section 22.04A3E, the Orange Township Zoning Resolution, a sign is allowed 44 square feet per side. The sign does not have more than 2 sides or surfaces. The sign as proposed will have 2 sides as shown. The display area of any one side or surface does not exceed 1/2 of the total display area permitted. The sign totals approximately 30 3/10 square feet per side for a total of 60 6/10 square feet. The total display area of all surfaces does not exceed 32 square feet or a maximum of 16 square feet per side or surface when the sign is located at 15 feet from the primary road right of way. For each additional 1 foot setback from the street right of way line, an additional 8 square feet of total display area will be permitted up to a maximum of 128 square feet of total display area, or a maximum of 64 square feet per side as permitted. The proposed sign will total approximately 30 and 3/10 square feet and be set back 22 feet from the right of way. Sign setback at this proposed distance is allowed to have a total of 44 square feet per side. Not more than 5 colors are used. Black and white shall not be considered colors. The proposed sign will have 3 colors consisting of red, silver, and dark gray. No part of such sign will be closer to any street right-of-way line than 15 feet, nor closer to any other property line than the applicable building setback if the adjoining property is a residential district. And the proposed sign will be set back 22 feet from the street right-of-way. It's actually of Orange Drive or Orange Road instead of Green Meadows. This is Exhibit 1 is the sign design. Exhibit 2 is the site plan. Exhibit 3 is a zoomed in site plan. It shows the setback of 22 feet from Orange Road here, from the right-of-way line to the sign. We have a site photo of Google Maps. It shows the site, which is just west of the Goldfish Swim School. And that is all I have. The applicant is on here. It's Jenny Robertson. If she wants to present anything or have questions for her.
Virginia, would you state your name, address, please?
Jenny Robertson, 8469 Payson Drive in Lewis Center.
Thank you. Quick question in regards to the graphics and how you're going to illuminate it. I take it you're illuminating from internally?
That is correct.
Sorry?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know the color, lighting color by chance?
It's white.
Her thing here says the temperature is between 2,700 and 3,300 Kelvin. And we don't allow you to go over 3,000.
That's part of the reason for my question.
Okay. Yeah,
The,
that's on that one sheet here. I did pick that out of their diagram here. I think everything else meets
Oh, yeah.
except for that.
Very
Yeah,
good.
I agree.
With the red color and the gray and so on, the color would not be as applicable as if it was a white background.
Right.
But that white area still will show through if the colors or the Kelvin is too high. And that's why, if approved, it would have to be 3,000 Kelvin or below.
That isn't any problem.
I agree with Mr. Oster too. This is Mr. Shipley. This package is put together very well, and Mr. Beard explained it very well. It
Yes.
appears to meet every requirement that we have, with the exception of what Jerry pointed out. It does say on there 3,300 Kelvin. Everything else seems to be met.
That's what I thought too.
Good looking sign.
Thank you.
With that said, do we have a motion? Fairly simple.
I'll make a motion to approve. Let me get back up here.
Rick, real quick, before you make a motion, is there any comments from Facebook?
From chat?
From YouTube or chat? No,
I don't see anything in chat.
no, there's no one in chat.
I've got chat open.
Okay,
So I would make a motion to approve the conditional use application CU 21-01 for Reed Properties LLC with the one stipulation that the color temperature remain between 2,700 and 3,000.
I'll second it.
Yeah, motion made by Mr. Oster, approve conditional use CU-21-01 with the condition that the color temperature will be between 2,700 and 3,000 Kelvin. Seconded by Mr. Trebs. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Trebs.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. Thank you. And a good presentation that you supplied.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, second one of many for Life Point Church.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next case is VA. This variance case VA-20-28. Just like last month, I'll go through all the requests and then we can discuss each sign, and we'll have to make a motion on each sign after that. So the applicant owner is Life Point Church. Site is 7404 Graphics Way. Parcel ID of 318-230-01-008-001. Zone Farm Residential District. They're requesting a variances from the Orange Township zoning resolution, Article 22 for multiple signs, including wall signs, a monument sign, and vehicular signs. And then they're also requesting a conditional use for the monument sign. The subject site is located at 7404 Graphics Way, which is located on the east side of Columbus Pike and on the west side of Graphics Way. The site is owned by Life Point Church. They're requesting variances for multiple signs, including wall signs, a monument sign, and vehicular signs, and also conditional use for the monument sign. The surrounding areas north and south are plain commercial and office district, surrounded by Menards and Orange self-storage. To the east is farm residential, it's undeveloped land. And to the west is plain commercial and office district. It's a Pet Palace across from 23. We have a zoomed out aerial of the site and a zoomed in aerial of the site.
Mr. Beard, for those that, if they do join us on chat, is there any way you could enlarge that for those that would like to see it?
For enlarge what part?
Enlarge the image that you're projecting to us.
Right.
Nope, that's going the wrong way.
I need a magnifying glass.
Jeff, if you like Control Plus, it should
Yeah,
zoom
it should
in.
do it.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Much easier.
Well,
Teamwork.
I opened Jeff's documents that he emailed me on another one of my monitors and follow along. So
Yeah.
I can deal with that better than the smaller version.
All right, so we'll start with the sign. Sign A is a wall sign. It's the east elevation. Permitted height is 15 feet above finished grade. The applicant is proposing for the east elevation to be placed at a height of 18 feet and 2 inches. From the finished grade, a variance of 3 feet and 2 inches is requested. This has had no change from previous meeting. That'd be Exhibit 1 that shows the location of the sign. Sign B is on the west elevation. This is also asking for a variance from the height of 15 feet from the finished grade. This sign will be at located at 15 feet 2 inches from finished grade. So a variance of 2 inches is requested. This also did not change from the previous request. The next sign is sign C, which is on the south elevation. Yeah, this is also a variance request from the height allowed for the wall sign at the 15 feet above finished grade. The sign will be placed at a height of 34 feet and 6 inches from finished grade. A variance of 19 feet and 6 inches is requested. This also did not change from the previous request. And sign D is also a wall sign that's on the north elevation. This sign is similar to the south elevation. It will be placed at 34 feet 6 inches, so a variance of 19 feet and 6 inches is requested. This is an exhibit that shows that sign location. Next signs will be sign E, will be 4 vehicular signs. These signs did change. They're asking for 2 variances from the vehicular sign section. The first one is the vehicular signs. Directional or other incidental signs pertaining to vehicular or pedestrian control on private property shall be permitted, provided the said signs do not exceed 3 square feet of area per side. The applicant is proposing sign E's to be 8.625 square feet per side. A variance of 5.625 square feet per side is requested. This sign changed from 9.6 square feet per side in the original request to 8.625 square feet per side. Exhibit 5 shows an example of one of the vehicular signs.
They didn't submit a different drawing of the revised one.
This is the revised one.
Oh, this is the revised one?
Yep.
Oh, it's still pretty tall, isn't it?
And then that goes to the next variance request for the vehicular signs is that the vehicular signs do not exceed 3 feet in height. The applicant is proposing sign E to be 6 feet from finished grade. A variance of 3 feet is requested. This sign changed from a height of 6 feet 4 inches in the first request to 6 feet in this request. This is exhibit 6 that shows that on the right side shows the overall height to the finished grade. And then sign F is the monument sign, which is along Columbus Pike. And this request is from the total display area of all services. Does not exceed 32 square feet or a maximum of 16 square feet per side or surface. When the sign is located 15 feet from the road right away, each additional 1 foot setback, street right away, an additional 8 square feet for total display area or 4 square feet per side or surface will be permitted up to a maximum of 128 square feet of total display area or a maximum of 64 square feet per side as indicated. The applicant is proposing the monument sign to be constructed roughly 18 feet. It's not roughly, will be constructed 18 feet from the right of way of Columbus Pike and having a display area of 97.5 square feet per side. A monument sign set back at 19 or 18 square feet is allowed to have a display area of 28 square feet per side for a total of 56 square feet. A variance of 69.5 square feet is requested per side. The square footage per side went from 107.5 square feet in the original request to the new proposed sign at 97.5 square feet for the total of 195 square feet for the sign. So the variance request went from 79.5 square feet to 69.5 square feet. These are exhibits of the monument sign along Columbus Pike. And this would be a site plan that shows the 18 feet from the right of way. And then with the other signs, they did bring this monument sign in the previous request was requested at 8 feet and 8 inches. It was brought down to 8 feet to come into compliance with the code. Then also they had a second monument sign that was along Graphics Way in the previous request, and they have removed that sign from the request with the updated materials. And that is all I have for the variance request for the signage. I know the applicant is on here and she does have a presentation she would like to go over with the board.
Good evening, Rebecca. Would you please state your name and address, please?
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Green. I'm with Zoning Resources, and my address is 74 Glen Drive, Worthington, Ohio, 43085. May I proceed?
Please.
Thank you so much. So as you recall, this is our newly constructed Life Point Church, and we are excited to bring forth some signage that is appropriate for both the township and this particular designed structure, and provide some safe ingress and egress and access points to this structure from our many congregants. This is as you recall, this is what it looks like out there. This is looking from the south to the north. Just the next slide, thank you. And as Jeff mentioned, our 4 wall signs are the same. So this is the view from the east. We have not modified this request. And we are looking for a variance for height for this sign. If you could just go ahead to the next, and there's the east sign. And then go ahead and move to the next one again. And this is the view from the west looking east. And there you can, once again, we're not making any modifications to this particular sign either from our initial request. So if you could go ahead. And there's the west elevation with the sign. And then if you could go ahead, yeah, great. So here we are, this is looking from the south, looking north, and the sign that we are proposing, again, we're not modifying this request, and we believe that it's appropriate for this particular design. And go ahead and move up forward. There's the sign on the south elevation. And go ahead. And then this is our north elevation. And again, we're not modifying this sign either. So go ahead and move forward. And that's our sign on the north elevation. So if you could go forward again. And what we did do is modify our wayfinding signs. As you know, we are very concerned about making sure that our site is safe for all the congregants and visitors that we may have on the site. And we did make some modifications to these wayfinding signs that are labeled signs E, and there are 4 of them. So if we could go ahead and move forward. We made them because we were concerned about aggregate sign area and also trying to be a little more in tune with some of the constraints of the code. We brought this sign down in height 4 inches, so it's now 6 feet. And we reduced also the sign area for this one just a little bit so that we could stay within the aggregate area as determined by staff. If we could go forward then. And also we removed from our request the second monument sign, which was labeled at that time monument sign G or sign G. And we're just going forward with the, if you want to go ahead and move forward, the primary monument sign along Columbus Pike. We reduced the sign height So it is 8 feet. And also this reduced the overall sign area for the sign. Do you want to go ahead and go forward with that too? And the idea here is that, once again, we're trying to move the sign area within the aggregate area allowed, as determined by staff, and while still providing the access and safety that we need for this particular site. So if you want to move forward. And again, this is where the sign would be placed there, 18 feet in. We do have some hardships with respect to light poles, utility boxes. And then on the other side of this construction fence, there's a retention pond. If you want to move forward again, that's great. Here's the retention pond I was discussing. And once again, and then this is just the summary and showing the changes that we had made, so that in an effort to try to make it a little clearer as we go through these. And again, signs A through D, we did not modify our request for, but signs E, we did reduce both the height and overall sign area for each of those 3 vehicular signs. We removed sign G, which was the secondary proposed monument sign, and reduced the area on sign F, which is our primary monument sign, by reducing the height of that sign. And then if you look at the very last page, you can see that we were able to move this aggregate area, the aggregate sign area for this site, below the 645 that was allowed. And you can see the calculations there. So at this time, we would ask for these variances to be allowed. And obviously and we would also ask that a conditional use permit be allowed for our sign, our primary monument sign on Columbus Pike. If you have any questions, of course, we are here to answer them.
Rebecca, I have a question in regards to the wayfinding signs.
Yes.
These will be placed in different areas where it is basically will be viewed by people that are driving their vehicles, correct?
That's correct. The idea here, I'm sorry.
No, please.
The idea here is that we have 4 wayfinding signs. 3 of them are near the access points of the parking for the structure. One of them is tucked in the back where one might become confused which way to get out of this extensive parking area. Oh, someone's very helpful there with circling the locations. Thank you so much.
That's our main man, Jeff.
Well, I will say Jeff has been very helpful, and I
He
really
is.
his help.
And thank you for noticing.
Oh, I very, very much have. Thank you. But the idea here is that you're in your car, you are driving, you're trying to get to that part of the building that is related to your use, a Sunday school room, a sanctuary, instructional spaces. You're trying to find where you're going, you're in your car, and we also are concerned about vehicles moving safely around the site. And we are very concerned about our pedestrians. We have a wide variety of pedestrians, children, older folks with accessibility issues. So we want to make sure this site is safely navigated with people knowing where they're going, not wandering about. And that's the purpose of these signs.
Right. Okay, here's my question. On your first drawing that you have, it is W1 as an example. One side of the sign is the south entrance offices deliveries with the arrow and north entrance with the arrow. And I take it the other side is drawing life from God and pointing him to others, etc. And I am a Christian, but My question is, wayfaring signs to me is directional. It is telling people this is how you get to entrance A or B or whatever it may be. And the other side of it, we're drawing light from God. That's not directional.
I'm sorry.
So my question is twofold. One, is that part of your intent? And two, since there is a height limitation with these, and people will be driving in their cars, SUVs, etc. Why? And you got a lot of space to the, looks like less than half of it is used. Why not have the ability to lower your heights?
We were twofold. Well, let's start with your first question. I may have to actually ask for some assistance from the sign company here, a little on the first question. It's my understanding that the exact language that is going to be placed on these directional signs has not yet been finalized. They are intended to be directional in nature, making sure that people are safely navigating the site. But I can have maybe the sign company, Mr. Rose, maybe could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yes, that's correct. Chris Rose, 650 Lighton Court, Gahanna, Ohio, and I have been sworn in. We are doing our best to nail down the actual language that will be utilized on both faces of these signs. We do believe that they will be primarily directional indicators for people leaving and coming into the campus. We just wanted to show a potential example. The drawing life from God and pointing others to him, maybe some copy that will be represented. There would most likely be some exit type information on those signs as well. The language has not been 100% set in stone yet. We also, for the height of the signs, are concerned with legibility and visibility when you're in a car where your eyes could remain at a reasonable road level or slightly elevated rather than potentially looking down. The headlights as well, these signs are non-illuminated, so there will be events that will occur when we do not have the natural sunlight to illuminate the signs. And in our studies and expertise, we thought that the signs would catch the headlights at this height.
Okay, are the signs themselves going to be a satin or a matte type of surface?
The signs themselves will be a painted aluminum, and yes, it would be probably a satin finish.
Okay. Why not? Well, it could be if it was a matte surface, it would help from glare from the headlights itself. But going back to my original question, though, it appears that there is, when you start with south entrance offices at deliveries, etc., once you have north entrance and that arrow, you've got a whole big blank area in each one of these. And by lowering it a foot, for an example, would bring you much better in line with code, because you do have a lot of empty area to the sign.
I certainly appreciate that, Mr. Miller. Again, we haven't finalized the actual empty area. These are examples of a few of the directionals. I do believe more information will populate that, potentially 2 more lines. So there would be 4 different directionals, types of information. So you could have a south entrance, a north entrance, an east entrance per se would be below that, represented with an arrow, and potentially a exit type piece of information located on there. And so lowering that would not allow us to have that ability to populate the copy with some more information. It was our understanding that we were showing, the size of the sign and doing everything we could to help get the aggregate area to where it was, which is why we lowered it and also brought it in width in order to meet our overall aggregate allotted sign area.
Right. I hope you understand where I'm coming from with my questions.
Oh, I certainly do. And I do appreciate it. I just think we're going to populate that with information that will help direct traffic and pedestrians that we have not yet uncovered with the property and the flow of traffic, not knowing what might be needed there to safely move people throughout the campus, sir.
Okay. Part of my reason for asking the question, though, is with being the BZA for zoning that is responsible for approval of signage, et cetera, we have to go by the physical documents, the drawings, et cetera, because we're not allowed to go out and view a site, if you understand. So we have to go what's presented to us in writing, in drawings, et cetera. And I don't mean this negatively, it's by the drawings, it's showing that basically the lower half of that is empty. And that's why I'm asking.
I agree with you. And that is our fault of not presenting that with filled information as it was still in limbo as to what that would be. But this is a learning experience for me as well. And I certainly should have had that information represented there. So I appreciate you pointing that out, Jerry, and helping me understand that would have been a helpful visual.
Well, I'm not being negative, so please don't take it that way. I'm just, I guess, explaining. The other part is, though, if you do put too much verbiage in, then that could present a safety issue as well. So the larger the block or the font size, et cetera, the easier it is for people to quickly read and understand where they're going to the north entrance or whatever it may be, the better.
And yes, and I think that's part of the reason why there was reluctance to maybe finalize all the copy. Some of the text in that area field that's available may be able to come up an inch or say per so in letter height to give us more legibility and quicker visibility for when we are in a vehicular situation.
All right.
I have a related question to that too.
Please.
The top of all the signs, about 1 foot in height, is advertising exactly where they already are. It looks pretty, don't get me wrong, but you're wasting a foot of your height in terms of trying to get any directional signage in there. And that looks, when the height is supposed to be 3 foot and you're at 6 foot and looks like you're not using 2 foot on the bottom and a foot on the top, that means you could really use a 3 foot sign. So
yeah,
asking,
and I kind of alluded to the same thing originally, and the reduction of square footage. I kind of like their signs, and and I think that they should use it for directional signs totally, and but you could take that whole foot life point off of the top and put it on the bottom on every sign. There's definitely room there, and we could decrease this by 1 foot.
It's 1 foot by 2 foot, so that's 2 square feet per
Well,
sign.
per sign,
I'm just saying
I'm just
height.
worried about the height.
If I may,
Right.
I
Me
think
too.
the height is certainly in question, and you're absolutely right. The LifePoint logo certainly can be utilized and moved somewhere else. If you're in a vehicle and you're driving around, it's where are you approximately sitting while you're driving? Maybe 4 feet or 4.5 feet. So I do believe we're going to need a variance on the overall height of these signs, regardless of the final actual height. And because that, again, for the non-illuminated factor where the headlights of the vehicle would be striking the sign and the best legibility in the industry, even ADA signs that are installed interior for accessibility have to be between 48 and 60 inches to center. So that's where we attempted to place all the copy on these signs, giving us the best visibility for both pedestrians and vehicular traffic, alluding to the sign that the height that we are presenting here.
I understand that, and I appreciate that, but we have to go with what's written in the code. Now, we might have code changes later on, and we might be behind the times or whatever, but you're asking for 200% of what the original sign was designed.
I do understand that, and
That's a huge jump.
I believe that the aggregate square feet was holding us up before. And so,
No, that was part of it,
okay.
but you still have to have the signs within the regulations. And I'll go back to the monument sign when we get to that. But here, I think you could reduce the height of this just by taking the life point off, and that gives you at 5 feet rather than 6 feet. You're coming closer. I haven't seen studies. You probably have good studies, but I also have to look at what's written in our code.
Do understand that and appreciate
One
sharing.
other, in regards to the height, if you're in a car, you're typically sitting at 3.5 to 4 feet up. When you're driving a car, you should be looking forward from a safety standpoint. The more you look up and away, the less safety it is. So I would, and I go with Mr. Travis completely, that, you know, the top you could easily put down, and you could actually move that probably a good 6 to 12 inches lower than that. Have what you're referring to is a slight upward, but more importantly, that's a lot of wasted area on each one of them.
Mm-hmm. And it's not so much the area that I'm concerned with at this point. It is the height of the sign.
Yeah, that's what I'm, and it's a waste.
Yeah.
Okay. We're on the same.
Yeah,
line.
I think automotive standards for headlights are between like 2 and 4 feet on most cars.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's going to put the driver over the hood, I would think, in good shape at the 5 foot high level also of, you know, sitting in a vehicle.
I think I would be happy to speak on the behalf of this, and I know that this isn't necessarily how the board typically operates, but I would be willing to make the concession to remove the header portion of the signs if that got us all into agreement at the overall height with that reduction of that 12 inches.
The challenge we have, and I respect what you're saying, the challenge we have is that LifePoint or the applicant is asking for X, and the board should not be negotiating per se. It's based on what the applicant is requesting. If they were to request a reduction of X type of thing, it's more applicable than us trying to tell you what to do or advise you what to do.
I think
Great.
that we would be willing to modify our request at it. And can that be done during the hearing process itself?
Yes.
Yes, it can.
So if we asked to verbally during this hearing to modify our request with respects to signs E to be at the 5 foot level, is that a kind of request we could make?
Yes.
Yes.
Here, please keep in mind one thing, Rebecca.
Yes.
We have to do it on a sign by sign basis. So sign A and sign B and sign D or whatever the changes that you would like to make, those have to be done individually because we have to vote on them individually.
Yes, my understanding is that there'll be a motion for each of the signs.
Correct.
Very good. We can do that at the time when we make those motions. We can make those requests to modify at the time we do the motions.
Before.
Before.
Yeah, we'll throw that in
Okay, very good.
because we'll have to state, you know, the variance and how much we're approving.
Correct. I understand.
The other thing that we have to be concerned with is we approve your sign at whatever height. It is above the code, and the next person coming to us now wants something that's 9 feet high. Well, you just approved one that's 7 feet high. And so it goes on and on. So we have to be very careful to be consistent.
I understand. And our goal here with these signs E is to make sure we have a safe circulation of people on our site.
Right.
We feel as if we have an exception here, I mean, a hardship that, you know, it's something that we want to work with the board on. I mean, we have people coming, a lot of folks, a lot of congregants, over 200 congregants coming at one time, at one point in time during the week, or several different times during the week. So we have an influx of a lot of folks coming all at once, as opposed to like the Menards, that's our neighbor, where people come a little bit at a time. So it is our belief that this is a hardship because of of how this property is going to be used. We want to make sure our congregants and our visitors are safe.
Well, keep in mind, the less verbiage in a sign, the safer it is too. Less to read and less to digest. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board in regards to any of the signs?
Yes, I have one, or on the monument sign itself.
So is that the 2204 A5?
I don't have it in front of me, so
It's sign F.
Sign
It
F, yeah,
is-
right.
sign F, yeah.
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 Please, Mr. Cook.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, sign G is gone.
Right.
Right.
So if I remember correctly, there's a pretty wide variance on this sign. I wish I had it in front
Yes.
of me.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
They originally wanted 107.5 square feet per side, I think.
That's right.
Or
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
he went down to 97, I believe.
Right.
And
right,
97 is
97 and a half.
still half again as much as what's supposed to be at that distance. Jeff, do you have that? I probably have it here if I look. Yeah, sign F. No, that's yours. I'm sorry. Sign F is still wildly bigger than what's should be approved just directly without any variance. I am totally not finding. Jeff, do you have the report for this one? That's what I'm trying to look at.
Are you talking about
Never
the
mind, I got it.
in comparison to other entities?
No, just on the sign F, it
You're still looking at a variance of 69.5 square feet.
that's it, yes. And if the whole sign is 97, you see the percentage is pretty high there. Just like the 6 feet on the directional signs, I really expected when you came back that this sign would be closer to the prescribed areas for each side.
So if I may, on this sign, we did bring it down to the 8-foot maximum.
Right. You dropped it 4 inches.
We also brought it in slightly as well to keep the ratio the same. What we didn't go over again in this presentation was the original presentation, which showed some of the other monument signs there on the stretch of 23 that had similar sizing that had been previously granted variances to. The hardships that are presenting some of the visibility here again is wanting people to be able to turn in off of 23 and see the property as best that they can, while not having visual obstructions from the light poles, electric boxes, and other things that are located there on the corner. We just felt that this would give us the best viewing angles for vehicular direction and traffic flow. We again have about 650 current parking spots and another 800 approved expansion to 850 vehicles, with 3 services coming in heavily at different times on a Sunday, as well as other events that would be occurring throughout the week. And to best aid, it's not all, congregant members who are coming. There's constantly new members being invited and different events being held there. And we felt that utilizing this size would give the best vehicular visibility to anyone there. Our setback, we also moved it back to the 18 feet, which places us in the best visual position that we could be between the easements for the water and electric and the retention pond.
Yeah, as I recall, you couldn't go back any further or you would be in the pond, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. We were limited
right
by those easements as shown.
The challenge we have, and if you do a comparison to other entities, that number one, their setbacks are further back. And some of them designing the graphics themselves are less. But the other part of that is, since you are closer to 23, and not only your existing membership that's coming in, they're going to know where to turn in. 69 square feet over what we have in our guidelines, which were known when your project started. That's a little bit of a challenge. I mean, I'm more than willing to give credence because it is a good church, but when it's double, that's a challenge.
It's worth mentioning also that 69.5 square feet is per side.
Yeah, right.
So that's 195 square feet total for the variance.
But it's still the same percentage, so.
Yeah, right. Percentage is absolutely right, but that's so it's substantial is the point, sir.
It is substantial. We humbly ask that we just look at the actual footprint of the property as well as the setback and the visual representation that the size of the building somewhat dictates a larger potential monument sign. Some of the other entities on 23, Mr. Miller, that you had mentioned, I know Mount Carmel, for one, was an example where we have a near parallel setback to theirs, and they had a sign as well that was approximately the same square footage per side as well as height above grade, as we had gone out and done a field study on that sign. I think in the last meeting as well, we mentioned the nationwide sign a little bit farther down 23 also had a much larger sign than the code would currently allow for.
Well, if you do a comparison, nationwide sign is 70 square foot per side, and they're at a 20-foot setback. So each 1 foot you go back. Now, granted, you may have some topography limitations, but each 1 foot back does allow you to increase the signage. On top of that, you've got large wall graphics that are almost double of what code. It's almost, and I don't mean to directly to compare Menards, but you can see the Menard verbiage from 23, and that's further back than what Light Point's going to be. So you've got multiple signage on the side of the building as the wall signs, as well as the monument signs. I mean, that's a lot.
Well, one of our concerns, of course, is navigating the very busy, congested 23 corridor. We have folks who are turning right. We have folks turning left across busy lanes of traffic onto an access road. Our concern is to make sure that we are appropriately signaling or give people appropriate visual cues that they know that this is where they need to turn into this church area. And we are inhibited from moving the monument sign farther back because of the retention pond. I mean, and the various easements that are in existence on that corner. We feel that these hardships, plus our concern for the safety along 23, to be those factors that would that require us to have this size of a sign.
Well, Rebecca, in regards to that, we do give credence to topography.
Mhm.
So that's something that we fully comprehend and understand. But again, you're at almost 100 square feet on each side, plus the huge wall signage you're going to have. People are going to know where to turn in.
Well, and you're also restricted to right turn only going north. Where that sign is going to be, there's only a right turn in. So no one should be turning going south, not there.
I think what she's saying is they're going to see that sign and know they're going to have to negotiate over for a left-hand turn down at the next entrance to come in the backside.
That's
Totally
correct.
agree, but that sign.
So it's still a visual.
Oh yeah, it's still a visual, but that sign isn't the ultimate directional sign, because one group has to go clear down to the next street and the other one has to come in there. And if they miss it, they have to go up to the next street.
But the concern, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We just have that concern of left-hand turners negotiating 23. We've all been on 23. It's a very busy road with lots of semi trucks and what have you. And we want to make sure that we get people safely to the site. And that is the point of having that particular size of sign.
Jeff, would you be kind enough to show the front area of 23 with the trees, etc.?
Oh, an image?
Yeah.
The site photos. Okay.
And while we're bringing this up, gentlemen, if I could remind us all of that, per your code, the aggregate area and square foot area that we're looking at is underneath what it dictates. So that does speak to the large stature, of the building and this whole campus area, and that's what we were trying to focus on as well, to make sure that we were in line with that. This is a substantial building, and we do want to make sure that people have the ability to make these correct vehicular turns.
Well, we fully understand that, but please, again, keep in mind that each one of these signs, sign A, B, C, D, et cetera, are all individual that have to be looked at and voted on. So hypothetically, sign B could be approved and sign Q could not be approved because we have to look at each individual. Thank you, Jeff. There was another one.
You're talking about the one in the packet, or?
No, I thought there was another one that was shown next. I think it was next. Is there one in front of this?
In
or
her presentation, I thought.
Well, I have the presentation on my screen as well. Is there another one, Jeff, that's showing from 23? There you go.
There, that's the one.
Okay. This is going to be your right turn as you're heading north. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you're going to have a two-sided sign there that will be quite large, as well as the large wall signs that will be on the side of the building that are also way over. That was my point. Okay.
Jeff, there's a sign there now in relationship to where that sign is. Where would the monument sign be? I'm sorry for pointing. I'm trying to point at the image, and
Based on where that's supposed to be set back, that's supposed to be at 15 feet from the right of way. So that should be 3 feet back.
3 feet further
So
back.
it should be
Okay.
fairly close to where like the back of that sign is.
Okay, I thought it should be right there in that general area.
General vicinity.
Yeah. And I think that would be viewable from the southbound traffic, even though they can't turn there. They got to go down to make a left-hand turn.
Especially since the monument sign will not have the future home of, it'll be more entire Life Point Church sign.
Yeah.
So you've got even more exposure for Life Point Church on the monument sign.
Correct. And this sign, I mean, if you are going to come from north to south and turn left, obviously at the appropriate left-hand turn area, but you're trying to get yourself to the right location. Obviously the right-hand turn lane also that we see here is taking up space that would make it, a little more challenging for those southbound cars to see it. I mean, because of this right-hand turn lane, it is pushed even farther back from the main part of the road.
Sure, but you've got an extremely large campus with a large building that will be having Light Point all over it as well. Whether you head north or south, you're going to see a huge campus.
There will be, it is a substantial building, absolutely. But many of the buildings along in this particular area are substantial buildings with large wall signs and also with monument signs. So it is fitting to the character of this area.
Is it fair to ask in the, Mr. Rose or Rebecca, either one of you, I know there's a retention pond and you mentioned that you can't go back any further. So there's no more leeway at all to move that sign back. I mean, 10 feet gets you 80 more square feet on the sign, right? And I don't know if that's an option, if it's, I guess what's plan B?
Is it 8 square feet per foot?
I thought so.
It's eight total. Not 4 per side, 8 total.
It's 4 per side.
Yeah, 8 square foot total signage per foot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick, for bringing that up. As we move closer, we are encroaching then on the easement as well as the slope of the retention pond. So that's why our footprint is limited. You can see somewhat the backs of those signs and where that slope begins. If there was not an easement there, we certainly would have the ability to move that slightly. And it's kind of put us in a tough situation as to where we can propose the location of this. I certainly understand where all you gentlemen are coming from, and do very much appreciate your consideration for this new campus and new build. Can I ask one clarifying question? If the wall signs on the building, we're not asking for a variance in their actual aggregate square foot area, are we? We're just asking for the variance on the height on those. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
That is correct.
And so previously we just, with the build out and where the appropriate architectural spacing was for those signs, that was somewhat driving that. So I do understand some of the, concerns here on the monument sign, but for the actual traffic flow and visibility in the topography that we're limited to, we try to present the best solution for all parties involved, hopefully.
Well, I respect what you're saying. I'm looking at the light point on the south elevation, for an example, on sign C. What you're asking for is starting at 29 feet 6 inches and up. So, you're going to be 40 feet above the tree line or above ground level. From a distance, that's you can see that quite a way. So I understand and respect what you're saying in regards to safety and wanting to give complete visibility for the campus and stuff. But with the combined height of your wall signs and your monument signs, I personally think that your monument sign is going to be too large.
I appreciate that information, Jerry. I do understand that. I know that we're revisiting this as it was tabled, and I would just ask the board to recall some of the other examples as well of some of the signage and some of the heights that were previously pointed out in the presentation a month ago, as Menards and Mount Carmel and their overall height was kind of dictated by the architecture of the building and where the signage should fall. I thought that we did have some potential traction of people thinking that the signs may be appropriate for the site, and we tried to reduce some of the area. And I do understand that we're looking at this again anew with the lens, and I definitely appreciate the board's position where they have to set some standards and follow the code that is there. And it is why we're here before you asking for this variance to help us.
It won't be our largest sign.
No. My reason for bringing up so many of these things is, and this is something we have to go by as the BZA. Duncan versus Village of Middlefield requirement for area variances. And I'm going to point out 2 critical ones. One is whether the variance is substantial. Substantial to some people may be 10% more, or 20% more, or 40% more, or 50% more. That has to be part of the consideration. Number 5, whether the property owner purchased the property with the knowledge of the zoning restrictions. So we're having to go by things that our zoning requirements, we have to go by those guidelines. So when LifePoint purchased this area and they sat down with their architects and engineers and so on to design the building, I'm sure they had to have a strong understanding of the type of signage that you wanted, whether it be a monument sign or the wall signage or whatever. And if our zoning is at 100, just for an example, is that reasonable for an applicant to come in and request something that's going to be 200? I mean, 100 versus 200, that's a big difference.
It is a
Challenge
huge
we're
difference.
running into.
I can't speak to LifePoint's actual knowledge and in-depth consideration of the sign code when the purchase was property, or when the property was purchased. What I can speak to is doing signs for the last 10 years of my career, that I don't know the percentage, but an overwhelming majority of owners and new businesses and potentially old businesses have no idea about sign code. They are not at all really aware, as I am constantly in my job explaining the limitations that they have. So I would like to think that educated people would look into that prior to making substantial business decisions. But I do know that I am constantly educating people on what they can do. And unfortunately for me, the signs are one of the last things that people think about or
Right.
look at. And that's just my own personal quip on that one.
Yeah, well, and we understand that too, but yet, you know, our guidelines are in the public domain for you to look at, and if they don't look at them, you know, that's their error. So we have to assume they did.
Sure. Yep.
Right.
This is Adam Wallace from LifePoint. You mind if I
Adam, can you hold on a second?
Sure.
This is Pete Griggs, Township Legal Counsel. I do just want to point out to the board that the factors, the Duncan v. Middlefield factors, you have to consider all those, and it's a balancing test. So they may meet some, they may not meet others. You have to look at all those. Just because they do not meet a factor does not mean that your analysis is over. So I just want to bring that up, that we're going to, we need to look at all the factors, and we need to engage in a balancing test. So,
well, I completely understand and agree with what you're saying. And my point was that the variance is substantial, for an example. And again,
correct. And Jerry, just so you know, anything over 25% is going to be considered substantial based upon case law.
Right.
So my point is that's a factor that the board needs to consider, and you still need to consider all the other factors. But
fully agree. Fully agree. And my background is, I hate to admit this, almost 50 years of graphics, including when sputter inkjet was invented to make up in Worcester to make billboards. So I understand completely. The other gentleman from LifePoint wanted to make comment, and if you would, please announce yourself with your name, address, please.
This is Adam Wallace. I'm at 7398 Holderman Street in Lewis Center, and I've been sworn in.
Thank you.
I am the administrative pastor and the project manager for LifePoint for this project.
We found a guy to blame.
Yep. We've been working on this for several years now. We purchased a piece of property in 2017, and we also purchased the second part of this property in 2019. And I can guarantee you the last thing we were thinking about on this was how big our monument sign was going to be. I think our first priority was, can we afford this? And it was available. So there's a lot of places in Lewis Center that don't have this much area on frontage of 23. We could have gone back in the woods somewhere and probably found a piece that was big enough, but this was where we wanted to be in Lewis Center, and is literally probably half a mile from our other current location. So I understand the code and all that, that you guys have to follow. I would say that as we requested a conditional use, the conditional use was granted by the board to build a giant facility like this. And so I would just ask that you would grant us these things that would match the size and the intent of the facility, because I feel like it's in line with some of the other things that you've asked us to be like in terms of Mount Carmel. The landscaping, that was in our conditional use. The heights of the building, all those things were in our conditional use at the beginning, and we tried to honor those as much as possible. So, we have landscaping across the front that the board required for us to have, and that also plays to the signage as well. And so I feel like shrinking that monument sign and even saying trying to push it back, that creates additional hardship. And as you travel on 23, those signs are meant to be viewed from different angles. And so I feel like that monument sign is going to be very small if we have to reduce that. If you're coming from the north, the signs that are on the north side of the building that are at the entrances, when there are trees that have leaves on them, those signs are hard to see from the north. So I feel like having that monument sign is going to be pretty vital for us to put a marker out on 23 so that people can know where to go, and that is Life Point Church.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from other board members?
On the monument?
Yes.
No.
I have none.
Are there any questions or comments or concerns in regards to any of the other signings? Because we
Yes.
did pick up all of them.
No.
Oh, I do. The 19 feet on the Life Point, yes, I know the height of the building is there and it looks good on that. It's still 19 feet above where the sign should have been. And even if your mind was on, can we get the ground? An architect should have checked all of this and said, well, if you're going to put a sign there, that's not going to work. And you get here and then we try to make allowances. But if we make too many allowances, then the next person coming in wants those allowances plus some more. We've already seen that. So I fully understand your building issue. I've built a few things myself, and yeah, but the first thing I always do is check what's code. What are the rules? Where's the traffic coming from? All of those things before I even look at the property, because, well, not before that, but those are part of getting the property to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why I sit on this board. I'm interested in this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I would just say that as you have these variance meetings, each project has its own hardships and its own sets of encumbrances.
Mm-hmm.
that can be considered. And so I think we're trying to match what is existing in the community. That was our design intent with the materials, the shape of the building, the look of the building. Our paneling looks like Orange Library. I think that's what we were going for, the intent of our whole project. And so I think that's, as we look around Lewis Center and Orange Township, we're trying to match exactly what the community has already in play. And
Adam, I completely understand what you're saying and agree with what you're saying, but I'll throw the other side of the coin at you. You've directly compared to Nationwide. And if Nationwide or ABC or QRS or Mont Carmel or whomever or Children's Hospital, they're doing the same thing. And what happens is if we allow one and it goes over by 10%, then somebody else is going to want to do the same thing. And it's going to be over 40%, knowing that, hey, we maybe feel lucky if we can get 30%, but that's still 30% over code. Mm-hmm. And it causes issues and a quagmire that, hey, why not just let everybody do what they want to do without following guidelines? And there's a reason why the guidelines and codes are in place. And, you know, it goes back to the lighting. It's all because of the planetarium. There's a reason for it. You got too high of a Kelvin. Guess what? That blue light and street lights that are not through Lewis Center because of the planetarium, there's rules and there's reasons for it. And that's the quagmire we run into as a board. So I respect what you're saying, Adam, and Rebecca. It's just, it presents a challenge for us. So.
I would just like to say that our goal here is to provide an attractive building and a safe structure, a safe access to what will be a very busy area. And it is, this is a structure that was designed to be attractive and to be, something that is appropriate for the best kinds of architecture that you can find in Orange Township. I mean, I think you could compare it favorably to some of the very best things that we see in Orange Township. And our goal is to provide that same kind of attractive signage for this building. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Is there any questions or comments from the chat?
No chat.
It's empty.
It's empty? Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on behalf of Light Point Church or those that have other concerns?
Hey, Jeff, did we get anything from the community on Life Point?
No, we did not.
I didn't think so. Okay, just checking.
Menards inquired about it last month, but never responded back after I sent them the plans.
Okay, Rebecca or Adam, is there any other comments that you would like to make?
Just that we believe that the signage is appropriate for this site, and that our goal here is to provide an attractive structure with appropriate wall signage, and that we do have certain topography that is creating a hardship for us in the way of retention ponds, easements, the right turn lane. We are trying very hard to provide the appropriate monument sign. And that this building and the signage that we're requesting is similar to what's in that area. we're not asking for something that we're not already seeing in that area.
Right.
Well, I think one of our largest signs is 70 square foot per side. And I believe that's nationwide, has that one. The car wash is at 60. Would you be agreeable to scale yours down to 70 square foot per side at your setback that you're at, realizing that you have a hardship of the water retention pond from your 97.5?
I would need to speak with Mr. Rose about that and the church itself.
Yeah, that's that's difficult for me to give you an answer. Do we know what
Okay.
Mount Carmel square?
Mount Carmel has a large setback. So,
They have
you
a
know,
large
when you start, yeah, when you start looking at the setback of 4 square feet per side,
Per foot,
Mount Carmel
yeah.
sign
per side.
162 square foot per side at a setback of 25 feet.
Right. Well, I believe their setback is a bit different.
He's saying 26 versus the 18.
Right. And
Yeah.
nationwide, 70 square foot at 20 foot setback.
And so we're at the 18. So
Yeah. So that's why I was looking at that figure that's going to be close to the others.
sure.
I understand. But of course, we cannot do the 26 setback because we'd be in the pond.
Right.
Well, you could. It would just probably be a lot more expensive to do.
I
You
don't know.
could put it in the middle of the water if you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well said. Yeah.
Along with a fountain spraying water.
Rick,
Right.
if you'd like to make a donation, we can probably make that happen.
Underwater.
So was there anything else other than the size of the monument sign that the board wanted to discuss?
Well, I brought up the height of the two on north and the south, the elevations, I think.
The vehicular signs.
No, that,
And
yeah,
then
I'm
the
just talking
vehicle
about the
signs, yeah.
monument sign right now.
Right.
Was there anything else in terms of lighting or anything else?
I really don't have any problems with anything else. I think the building kind of dictates the life point signs of where they're at. And I don't think they're egregious in size or
Just in
unsightly.
height, yeah.
Well, and that's not a precedent. It's been done already. So with that in mind, you know, and I do like their directional signs.
I
You
as
know, and
well.
especially since they have amended that to take 1 foot off the top and move that towards the bottom.
Well, it hasn't been officially done yet because we
Right.
haven't that.
Can I ask one question about the monument sign? I am not finding it quickly. What is the color temperature of the interior on that? Because you have the halo and it looks like it's bright white in the pictures, and that would be probably 3000 Kelvin or higher.
I think we mentioned that last time, but
I know, but I don't
not
see
present.
it this time. Yeah.
I don't see it either.
So whatever we do, I would want to make sure that's part of the motion.
Sure.
Well, and actually we could go through these and approve some of these signs and not the monument, and they could return for the monument. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And with that in mind, Rebecca, if you need to go back to your board, and I can't or will not give you, tell you what to do, but I think you know exactly what I'm going to say, so I don't need to say it. No, I'm not. I know you're not a mind reader, nor am I. It would be a simple scenario of you requesting something. If you remember the last two meetings that we had in that regard.
I think I do, Jerry, as well as Rebecca. But if Rebecca, if you wanted to go ahead and
Well,
request-
do we want to go forward on some of these signs tonight?
Yes, we can, but
We can.
And
we-
then we can return and table perhaps the monument sign. Is that something that we would be wanting to do? Zoom is so awkward in that I usually have these kind of conversations quietly, you know, right next to my client. But
Right. The only thing is, you know, we've tabled this a couple of times. We can't keep tabling it. We do have to come to a final realization of what was going to be approved and what not. So
Yeah,
with
you
that-
have the ability, if the applicant requests, you have the ability to continue the application. But I do agree that if we can remove some of these signs tonight, we should probably go ahead and do that.
I think
Okay.
that would be fabulous if we could.
Okay, sign A. Initial request. A variance of 3.2 feet is requested.
I would make a motion to approve that.
Yeah, and I would second that motion to approve, what is VA 2028, sign A request.
Mr. Beard?
Yep, I'm just trying to get it up on the site. All right, we have a motion by Mr. Oster to approve variance case VA-20-28, sign A for the east elevation for a variance of 3 feet 2 inches, seconded by Mr. Shipley. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Travs.
Yes.
Motion carries for that one.
I would also make a motion on VA-20-28 to approve the variance of, what is that? 2
inches.
inches on that one?
Yep.
I would
Sign
second-
B on the
Sorry.
west elevation.
And I would second that motion also.
Motion made by Mr. Oster to approve VA-20-28, sign B for the west elevation, sign height from 15 feet to 15 feet 2 inches for 2 foot or 2 inch variance. Seconded by Mr. Shipley. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Travs.
Yes.
I would also make a motion to approve sign C, variance application VA 2028. That's a 19-foot 6-inch variance, which, and again, looking at the Duncan Middlefield versus Middlefield piece, it's substantial. The layout of the building, the way it is right now, I would make a motion to approve that.
I would second that.
Motion made by Mr. Shipley to approve variance application VA-20-28, sign C for the south elevation for a variance to allow a sign at 34 feet 6 inches for a variance of 19 feet 6 inches. Seconded by Mr. Oster. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes, and I'll make a little bit of a comment on this, that part of this is because of the topography, the size of the building that goes along with this. So yes, I'll vote yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Travs.
No.
Motion carries.
I will make a motion on VA-20-28 on sign D for the wall sign on the north elevation at a variance of 19 foot 6 inches.
Motion to approve, Rick?
Yes, yes.
And I will second that motion.
A motion made by Mr. Oster, approve variance case VA-20-28, sign D for the north elevation, sign height from 15 feet to 34 feet, 6 inches for a variance of 19 feet, 6 inches. Second by Mr. Shipley. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Krebs.
No.
Motion carries.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
with respect to signs E, should we proceed with modified height?
Yes.
And
And
then
Jerry,
I apologize. I don't have the calculation for the modified sign area
Yep.
would result.
It would be 3.625 square feet per side.
0.625. And that's the variance amount that we're looking for each one of them?
Yes. Yeah, that would be the variance amount. The square footage will be 6.625 per side.
Okay. So then at this point, is it appropriate for me to amend our request?
Yes.
Yes.
At this time, Life Point Church would like to amend the request with respects to signs E, all four of these vehicular signs, in two ways. The first would to modify the variance request so that it would be 5 feet in height, as opposed to the 6 foot in height of our our modified request. And the second, that there be a variance of sign area in the amount of, is it 6.25 square feet per side?
That'd be the square footage per side, and then the variance request would be 3.625 per side.
3.225
3.625.
per side, I
Yep,
apologize.
you're good.
And I would ask that our request be amended for sign B.
I would make a motion to approve with those amendments.
Do you want to start with the, do we have to do each one as far as the area and then the height? Or can we add sign E together?
we should be able to do all of them at once because they're all the exact same signs.
Yeah, I agree. All at once is fine.
Okay, I'll second that motion to approve.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay.
As amended.
As
Motion
amended,
made
yes.
by Mr. Krebs to approve variance case VA-2028, sign E's for the vehicular signs, as amended by the applicant, as a maximum height of 5 feet, and also with the square footage of 6.625 square feet per side. So you have a 2 foot variance for height and a 3.625 variance for display area. Seconded by Mr. Oster. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Krebs.
Yes.
Yeah, would you mind putting those up on the screen for me? Thank you.
Those are the ones that basically light point area is going to be removed from the whole sign.
From the top.
Right, it's reducing it that amount.
Right. I'm guessing that they'll probably just shift it to the bottom. At least that's what I would do.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, all we're concerned with is the height.
Thank you very much.
And then at this time, I'd like to move to table decisions with respect to sign F, primary monument sign.
So we're going to make a motion to continue both applications with respect to sign F to the next regularly scheduled board meeting.
Correct, for both the conditional use permit
And the variance, correct?
and the variance, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the applicant's request to have it tabled to the next scheduled meeting.
I'll
I'll
second.
second that. I'll second that motion.
All right, I got a motion by Mr. Miller to continue VA-20-28 sign F for the monument sign, along with conditional use case CU-20-28 to the next scheduled hearing, which is March 18th
What?
at 6 p.m. Second by Mr. Shipley. Those voting Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Treves.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Beard, when do you need the modified plans and materials for that?
I'll send the packet out March 11th or around that time.
So before then,
Yeah, so we'd have it at the beginning of that week.
very good. All right. Thank you so much for your consideration this evening. I really appreciate your assistance. And again, thank you, Jeff. You're always fabulous and helpful in these matters. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll follow up with the other signage that were approved tonight. So I'll follow up with a letter in the next few days.
I appreciate that. And you'll be sending that by email or by hard?
I'll send it via email and also physical copy will be mailed
Okay.
out.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
And thanks on behalf of Life Point Church. We really do appreciate it. We hope you'll stop by and see it when it's all up and ready.
Is there a scheduled or an estimated date of completion?
Yeah, we hope to be starting to move stuff in sometime at the end of June.
Wow.
Potentially have some services in July.
Mm-mm-mm.
Good luck with the move in.
It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can understand that. I just moved yesterday, today, and just my house, that was enough.
We really do appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Are we down to the minutes?
We're down to Mr. Trev's review of the minutes.
Actually, I had no changes this time. I don't know whether I just missed them and they're there, but somebody else
Yeah.
finds some.
It's easy to do.
I have a few.
Okay,
on,
wait a minute.
on the first case on page 2 on line 82, the quote says, "Looks pretty egregious." That was actually stated by Mr. Oster.
You are a genius, Jeff. I circled that on this sheet and I said, that is not a word I would use, and I certainly wouldn't use it in public with other folks. And I circled that and said, I didn't say
Yeah,
that.
that was me.
And then on line 94, there's like a extra comma and an S and a comma before
right.
so.
Yep.
Oh my. Yeah, I missed that
Yep.
completely.
On line 219 on Mr. Treves, she put some dots afterwards. He didn't really complete the comment, but so we can remove those 3 dots as there was nothing that was stated.
What was
It was down
the
later.
line number?
219.
219.
Oh, 219.
Yep, 219 on page
Yeah.
5.
So unless you can drain at the bottom of the pool level,
And then, and then Mr. Oster chimed in with, "You're going to have trouble." So he finished your sentence for you.
Yeah. In line 235, we were discussing that, but I think that's exactly what I said. So I had circled the 12-inch tiles. It should have been 12-inch tile, I thought, but
Okay.
it made sense either way. So
Yeah, you can put in more than
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah.
Then on the second application for the CU case on page 2 of 4, just the spelling of the applicant's name should be calling Medema, but on line 95, it's Medema with an N, and also on line 140. So it is correct on line 154. So those just need to be adjusted to the correct spelling.
Good catch.
I believe that is all that I have.
You said 140?
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yep.
And 154.
140
And 160?
154 is correct, and 160
Yeah.
is correct.
Yeah,
That's
those
the
are,
correct spelling.
Yeah.
140,
Oh, it is?
Yeah, 140 and
Okay.
95.
Are not. Okay.
Yep.
Any other
Else has any?
nope.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes per amendments.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Miller to approve the minutes from January 21st of 2021 as amended, seconded by Mr. Treves. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Treves.
Yes.
Well, I just had a few words if I can before we wrap it up tonight. I was here to listen to Life Point, but I guess a few things. We did schedule a training for all the members on Thursday, March 4th at 6 p.m. We wanted to do it on a regular meeting date, but because of the application load, we just thought it'd be best to set aside a special meeting for that. And Pete Griggs will be hosting that and presenting that. So we're looking forward to that. Any questions that you have, feel free to bring them up at the meeting. I think we'll have a really great dialogue, and all my staff will be there. So I think this will be a good educational opportunity for everybody. So, and if you're not able to attend, we will have it recorded on YouTube so we can have you watch it at a later date too. The second thing I wanted to bring up, which I started talking earlier about, was the trustees, and my understanding, are interested in having in-person meetings starting the second quarter. So I wanted to get the temperature of the board here if they were willing to consider that starting in April.
I'm willing.
I'm willing. I've got both of my Moderna shots.
Oh, sure. Oh, did you get those?
Got both of them.
I got my
Oh,
first
man,
one.
you didn't even need them. You're on hydroxychloroquine. That's what I want to get.
I need more than that.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
How are they going to set up the 6 foot, et cetera, or are they? That's number one. Go ahead.
We would have this. I would have us set up with the social distancing of 6 feet. I think that's the guidelines that the governor has outlined too. So we'll do our best to comply with all of that. Now, if we do have an application that we expect a high amount of attendance, we might go back to virtual. But if it's something that we can all be socially distanced at, or if we can even have a virtual component just for the public to attend, we'll look into that too.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't know, is the governor still limiting it to like 10? 25? I don't know what it is right now.
Sure. I don't know if Pete,
He's changing
you know that any.
I don't know, but we do have clients that are holding socially distanced in-person hearings now. And we've had more than 10, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll make sure it's safe for all of us. So in the case that it's not, we won't have it. So
What I don't understand is how they can have a wedding for 300 people, but they couldn't.
yeah.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, that's all I wanted to share. Thanks for letting me
Cool.
add that at the end.
Thanks for coming. We missed
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Don't get to see you that often.
It'll be nice. It'll be nice to see everybody in person, especially with zoning commission. I haven't even met 2 of our members. So
So does that mean that Miss Bonnie will be providing refreshments, or is that Mr. Beard?
I thought Mr. Griggs was going to take us out for dinner for the training.
Is that how that works?
That's what I thought.
I'm more of a beer and wings guy, but if that'll work.
Hey, that's fine.
That
That's
works.
fine. I'm in.
That works.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Beard, Miss Bonnie?
I do not have anything else. So if we just
Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Cool.
I do have, since we're going to be off the chat thing, I don't know if I have your cell phone number, Jeff. And I think I should have it.
I was going to look at that. Yeah, he asked me that, and
It might be useful that we all have each other's cell phones.
I